Last week, we talked about general knee pain and some things that you could do to address that. This week, we're going to go a little bit more specific and talk about bursitis and swelling and jumper's knee. And again, we'll give you some tips and tricks that you can use to help yourself in those situations. Be sure to stick around next week when we continue to talk about specific issues in knee pain and what you can do about them.
Bursitis is inflammation of one of the fluid-filled sacs that surround the knee. There are 6 of them that help support and cushion the knee, as well as give it basically oil like you would in a machine. This allows for good knee bend and movement without pain. These can get irritated with a lot of overuse or when you've been kneeling for a really long time. This can also be known as a Baker's cyst. The solution for this can be to limit your range of motion for a period of time to allow that inflammation to come down. A lot of the time, we also recommend using ice to help manage pain, even though ice doesn't necessarily fix your problem. Another thing that you can do in training to help try to keep moving is focus on hinging and deadlifting patterns, which reduce pressure on the knee. So some of the things that you can do when you have bursitis is first have a longer warm-up. This can help lubricate the joint and reduce your pain. You can also limit your range of motion through certain actions like doing half squats, pause squats in the top range. You can also focus on hinging instead of squatting altogether if you're having a lot of pressure to the knee. Remember, you can definitely ice after your workouts or before your workouts to reduce pain, but don't use that as an all-encompassing solution. When we have bursitis, we want to try to get as much range of motion out of the knee without pain to help increase blood flow, get things moving, and remind the nervous system that it's safe to move that knee. So we're going to lie on our back. Nice and relaxed. You can have your legs straight on the opposite side or bent, whatever feels the most comfortable for you, and you can have a pillow as well. I'm going to pull my knee in, and I'm going to interlock my fingers so I feel nice and stable here. From here, I'm actually going to go through knee extension and flexion as long as it's not painful. So I'm going to slightly rotate my toes out because your knee is actually capable of a little bit internal and external rotation. So we want to get that little bit of movement too. So I'm going to slightly rotate my toes out and I'm going to go through extension nice and slow. And then I'm going to slightly rotate my toes in and bring that back down. Again, nice and slow. If you don't have the flexibility in order to get to full leg extension here, you can wrap a towel around the back of that knee to give yourself a little bit more space. Again, this is not supposed to be a max contraction. This is just supposed to be gentle, get that blood flowing, feel safe, breathe, and remember your knee is going to get better. For bursitis, we want to make sure that we can still move that knee without pain. So if you've passed being able to just go through regular knee extension and flexion, now we're going to put it under resistance. So you'll see here that I've wrapped a band around my foot and I've placed my foot on a slider just to allow for easier glide. So from here, I'm going to make sure I'm not in pain first, and then I'm slowly going to push out with that foot, allowing my quad to flex and extend. Then I'm going to allow that band to help pull me back nice and slow. This shouldn't feel difficult, it should just be painless. Again, when you have bursitis or swelling, you just want to get blood flow to that joint to get that swelling out and to reduce pain in the surrounding areas. I'm trying to stay nice and upright here. I'm not leaning back, so if you have a hard time doing that, you can put yourself up against a wall so you feel more comfortable. And remember, you always want an active core because an active core helps the nervous system feel safe and will actually give you an increased range of motion than if you're just relaxed and not focusing on your core at all.
Jumper's knee is a very common injury or pain symptom we get that occurs at the knee. So this tends to occur just below the knee, and this is caused by an inflammation of the tendon from the rectus femoris that runs down and through the knee and connects to the tibia. It holds our knee together a little bit. So with this, we want to think about supporting this injury and helping it heal by bringing strength to that tendon. And we do that by loading that tendon eccentrically, or while it's lengthening. We want to be careful not to stretch that tendon because a tendon that's inflamed is unhappy. So we want to make sure we're giving it support and not putting it under any more stress than it should be. So if you have this injury, you might be experiencing pain when you bend your knee, when you're jumping, jumper's knee, running, and it's also very common with basketball players because we see a lot of running and jumping happening there. So we're going to give you a couple exercises to help you strengthen against this injury. So I'm going to demo a sliding single leg hamstring curl, and we're going to be supine. So this is going to be a way to strengthen the hamstring, but give us lots of control and stability so we feel very safe and we can build this up as we feel stronger. So we want to think about aligning our posture. My hips are level. I have a little core tension and I'm not just letting my hips tilt, right? So my core comes on and I find my neutral pelvis here, and then I'm relaxed in my upper body. So I have one foot on a slider. You can use a towel, a magazine, slippery floor, slippery sock, whatever works for you. So from here, I'm going to focus on this leg, and first I want to create some tension into the floor. So I'm going to push my heel into the floor, and immediately I'm going to feel my posterior chain, so glute and hamstring, fire on a little bit. With that tension now, I'm going to slowly, with lots of control, straighten my leg. And with the slider, it slides nicely. Here near the end range is where we really want to check in with our core. As we let that muscle, as we let the leg extend, it's very easy to let it pull us out of that core tension and tilt the hips. So we really want to check in that end range that we're maintaining the integrity of our core and hips, right? Relaxing the head, not popping it up. So just go nice and slow, because as soon as we lose that, our hamstring might actually tighten up to find stability. Here, we give it stability with the core. So then when I come back, I'm still going to give a little tension, but not as much as before. You're going to want to adjust that as you get more comfortable with these and as you start to feel better. If you tend to have hamstring tightness and weakness, you're going to want to start light. So again, I push into the floor, check in with my hips and my core tension. Really pay attention as I reach that end range. And this time I'm going to dig in a little harder so I can really feel that hamstring coming on and strengthening. Make sure the foot comes all the way down at the end, and we go right back into it. And we're going to hang out here and do hamstring curls. Bye. This is an eccentrically loaded quad extension. So we talked about how the tendon needs eccentric loading. So this kind of makes it complicated that we only do the down phase of the exercise, but we got this. So we have a setup where I have my ankle banded, and I'm going to be working on resisting the extension of my leg, and I'm going to help myself out to get to the top position. So normally in a leg extension, we would think about straightening the leg. In this, we're going to work on the bending from the straightened position with a load. So I'm going to pick my leg up and bring it into position, because this is the part that I want to be passive. So I have my leg nice and straight, rested on this box. And I want to check in that my ribs are stacked on top of my pelvis. So I have a little bit of core support. And then depending on your setup, you're going to want to have a little support from your bench, a wall, whatever you got behind you there or in front of you. So from here, I'm nice and stable, and I'm just going to slide my foot over. Now I'm under tension, lengthening through the quad, loading that tendon, and I'm going to curl in as much as I can to work through my full range, and then I'm going to totally relax, use the rest of my body, get back in position, set up again, check in that my form is set, core is on, and then slight shift. You can see I got to work for that a little bit, controlling, because without that control, my leg just wants to drop. So I'm strengthening the body, teaching it to control, absorb a little bit of tension and impact if I was doing this in a different way, so that we can strengthen the tendon and the muscles around the joint.
Thanks for watching our video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We're on social media at 3wave_fitness, and we also have a Patreon where you can not only get some great tips and advice that we don't give out to the general public, but also there's a lot of cool options to work with us directly there too. Be sure to check that out. And as always, continue to do the great things that you do, and next week we'll continue talking about knee pain and what you can do about it. Ciao.